Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I am Everardo Resendiz, known around here as Coach Ever. I am a certified executive and business coach with Action Coach in Northwest Louisiana. Today, I have Bryan McGehee with GATR Coolers as my guest, and we're going to be talking about his business, the journey to business ownerships, challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it really is like to build and operate a business. And so, if this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to subscribe and like so that you can get notifications when we drop conversations just like this one. And so, Bryan, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Can't wait.
And you share with us a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about the business.
Sure. My name's Bryan McGehee. I was born in Thibodaux, raised in Schriever, Louisiana. Um, I did not have on my bingo card to start a business. No experience in business, no background, didn't go to college for it. I actually dropped out of college around the BP Horizon oil spill, and worked on that for a while and went straight from there to traveling the country pipelining. Got into the welding and inspection field. Which kind of, it was a great career. I built a really good career. A lot of friends, travel the country, get to see all kind of cool stuff, meet a lot of cool people. But what wasn't very cool was watching my kids grow up through my cell phone. So, traveling around does have its negatives, I guess, too. My brother Mitch sent a group text to our all of our brothers. There's five of us total. And said, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting this company, selling some ice chests, make some extra money, pay some debt off, and maybe not have to work as much." And I kind of contacted Mitch on the side to see if he needed some help with it. And super long story short, here we are. Here we are going on I think year 9 right now. So it's been a fun ride.
All right, we'll set up the stage for the viewers and the listeners. What does the current ownership structure look like? I mean, are you and you're your brother only partners? Do you have any other investors in the business?
We do have several investors, and it seems a lot more complicated than it is. But so when we started the company, we were operating out of Mitch's living room, an extra room that I used to live in my parents' house, and my camper all over the country. So we went from that to ran out of space and needed more product. So we rented a couple storage units, and we were kind of at a weird spot in that 2018, 19 time frame where this is like it feels like a third full-time job, and but we were just putting everything back into the company. And it was just we were at an impasse of we either need to shut it down or we need to take it full time because I'm sleeping 1 to 3 hours a night max, 24/7 type of deal for years. We had a few investors approach us early on, and it just didn't seem like the right time. But at that 2019, end of 2019 timeframe, um, I left my career December and started going with GATR full time. And in 2020, we did take on a few investors that kind of believed in us early on, and that allowed us to go from that storage unit to the building that we purchased here. Um, and then we started down the path of um, a lot of unique opportunities our way, but we couldn't fund those opportunities because of how expensive and the timing of inventory. So we got hooked up with an attorney that specializes in kind of mergers, acquisitions, IPOs, stuff like that. Um, he recommended a crowdfunding platform. So we actually did a crowdfund raise too. Uh, and super early on into that, it didn't really go ideally as it was described to us. It was very expensive. Um, it just didn't work out ideally, like we thought. So we shut that off, and that was 2021, 22. And at that time frame, the economy for us was taking, I mean, it was pretty wild, honestly, the how
Yeah.
fast it changed. So we shut off the whole thought of finishing raising that goal. We had a $2.5 million goal. We raised 580,000 or so in a couple of months. and shut it off. So we took that cash, we went down the road of, some of the things that we want to do that took a long time, like designing, tooling, hiring, training, stuff like that. So to answer your question shortly, we have a group of investors that are in our holdings company that helped us purchase the real estate, and I think there's maybe 10 or so, 12 maybe people in that. And we do have the crowd fund that's in GATR Coolers, which is our operating business as
Wow.
well.
So it's quite a number of people that are involved in your business. But then
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the role that you currently play in the business. What do you
I
get
get
to do because you're CEO?
Yeah, I get everything. So from cleaning the bathrooms to answering the phones, responding on emails, making stuff. I think over the last 2 years specifically, I had a really um say a hard pill to swallow is like accepting what you're good at and what you're not the best at. And forever I've always been an excellent employee everywhere as I've worked. Um and I know that I can say that confidently. And I know that I'm very good at the things in here that make us move. But what I'm not the best at is, I guess, what a traditional CEO role would be. I don't even know what a CEO is supposed to do. It's so you talk to one person and they're at a set of life or part in business where their CEO is only big ideas. He's going to these meetings, he's doing this, and you talk to some that the CEO is literally does everything under the sun. But we're going through a big restructure right now. We went from around 15 employees here to four. And I think now we're actually at three, not including myself. Excuse me. But we've never been more efficient, and our lead times are down, and our revenue's up. So, but that took me getting back into the day-to-day of business because I think I'm just very hard to replace here. I've been doing it a long time, and I started it, so I know all the little, tweaks of things, and it's hard to find someone that can replace what I'm doing here.
Right.
So
Right.
I feel like this is really mostly where I need to be. In the planning, in the website development stuff, in the keeping everything 3 or 4 or 5 or 2 weeks ahead of where people are working here to keep our machines running, to keep the production shop going, and to be the most efficient that we can. That way, we don't feel like we need to purchase more equipment to get the same work done when actually our
Understand.
equipment is super underutilized. So I think I'm very good at that, and I kind of love that part of the role. So I think I'm more into the day-to-day stuff here than I have been over the last couple of years.
Now, do your brother Mitch stay with the business and you?
Mitch is actually not involved with us at all. He still owns it, owns a big chunk, but he had a great opportunity when we were starting this company. He was I think a year or two, maybe three at Shell, and he moved up with them pretty quick. He has a great role with them. He's been with them 10 plus years. So we never really had a role that I feel like he would have benefited from helping here. And it honestly, it'd be kind of goofy to leave the setup that he had. He's got the retirement and
No,
the
no, absolutely,
benefit of being
absolutely.
with the company that long. So he still sits on our board. We have our meetings, and me and him talk obviously, but he's not really involved in any of the day-to-day stuff.
Very, very cool.
Yep.
Okay. And so, of course, as a CEO, you have a lot of things that you have to be responsible for that you need to carry through, right? And so, the real question here is, there's this idea we have that there's work that needs to be done to grow and to pursue opportunities. That's what we'll call maybe the strategy part, the own business, right? And then you have the in the business, which is the things you need to do to control to make sure that things are operating the way they're supposed to go, right? And so the difficulty for most CEOs is finding where that balance is because there's something that needs to happen on this side as well as on this side.
Mhm.
If you were to put a percentage to it, How much would you say that you're on the business as opposed to in the business?
For the last couple of years, I was almost all on the business. And then I started looking back and it's not a knock at who we had here, but it wasn't working out. We had a few things that fell through as far as customers, potential orders, potential deals that seemed like they were going well that we ended up not getting, budget cuts from some of our bigger customers with economies kind of squeezing stuff. We're the first thing to get cut when things get tight. We're a $300 ice chest with your logo on it. People cut that before they cut people. So when some of our customers who have a traditional budget of 50 to $100,000 for products like ours for marketing needs, when things get tight, that goes down to 5,000. So I now I would say I'm probably 70-30 in the business.
That you
And
have taken onto the people the responsibilities from the people that you don't have anymore.
Mhm.
Understand? I
I'm
mean,
the only
and
one that's
look,
working on. I'm the only one that's working on, but that's about 30% of my time right now, which isn't
oh,
ideal,
right.
but it's that's where we're at.
Um, Brian, what most people don't understand when you're in business is that the role of a CEO ultimately is leading, right? And sometimes you lead, by directing, and sometimes you lead by, leading the charge. And so it's normal. Depending on the situation of the business, you'll find sometimes you gotta go in, sometimes you can, step back and do it from the outside. The more you do it from the outside, the more you're able to see the entire game board, right? And so it's the challenge that every CEO has, right? How much of that do we balance in? Great. And so let's move on to what makes your business so special. Who primarily does your business serve? If I'm in the audience, how will I know I was a good fit for your products?
I mean, we do really well just direct to consumer off of our website for basically anybody that's looking for another option for a premium ice chest or a drinkware item. The bulk of our business is done B2B and with other businesses who have marketing budgets or marketing efforts that they want to try to undertake. Um, it's the just thinking of who some of our top customers are. They're the nonprofits that are raising money for whatever their goal may be. We've seen and we've got, years of data to back up that the way that we customize products makes it stand out a little more. It is something different than what's been on the market for a while. It stands out a lot. So they're raising, a lot more money per item for our brand compared to other brands who may just be like a regular cooler with a standard logo printed on it. The way that we do things kind of stands out, which I think is what makes us special, is our effort and our abilities in customizing. Our other ideal customers would be I would say like manufacturers or people who sell certain types of tractors, four-wheeler, side-by-sides, vehicles. A lot of times those companies get co-op dollars from the manufacturer of the actual product. So if you think of like Toro, who, the lawnmowers, maybe Toro's company has all of these different vendors that hit milestones across the country. And if you buy a mower this month, you get a free ice chest, and that company is having marketing dollars from Toro put in. So they're essentially splitting the bill from us, and we're selling in bulk to them an item that people want, and an item that people are going to use. It's not like which we give hats and sell hats away too. So it's not a knock on hats, but eventually that hat goes away. It gets
Yes.
lost in your truck. You wear it for a little while, you get the sweat ring on it, you try to wash it, it doesn't work out good, and they toss it. But with an ice chest, it's really hard to destroy these, and it has their logo on it. So it's a long lasting impression for your marketing dollars. It's not something that's disposable per se.
That is very key. And so, that really brings it back to the customization, which is really what you're offering as a uniqueness. Now,
Yeah.
how do you compare to your competitors? Who are your competitors?
Who we consider a competitor is probably not who most people think of automatically. You know, there's obviously the big brands in the market that do a few $1 billion a year that probably don't know that we exist. Um, but there's a lot of those in betweens. Locally, there's competitors who their main goal in life is to try to knock us off and be $10 cheaper. And we've had 10 plus of them within our parish and neighboring parish that started since we've started and went bankrupt or quit, or when they realize how tough it really is. And it's not, we're just not over here, you know, getting rich for nothing, like they think. I would say our competitor, I would put us closer into the maybe Orca coolers, um, maybe some Pelican coolers. Obviously, Yeti sells a lot to a lot of our customers, or in the past, our customers have bought stuff from Yeti. But I don't know that we don't have our target market isn't necessarily their target market. I'm going after our ideal customer is the customer that a lot of times they pass up because maybe the logos are a little bit difficult for their process, or maybe their price point is a little bit out of their budget. So
Right.
we're fitting for the customers who want a premium product but aren't quite at that level.
And so there's something distinctive about your product. The coolers themselves have a little gator
Yeah.
on their on the pull down. You can see it on the website. But you know, it's for me, it's always like wow. There's these very high quality products, and they're being made out here in our state. They're being distributed by you guys. And so, what is one thing you wish more people knew about Gator?
Um, oh man, I can go so many routes with this, to be honest with you. I wish that more people understood, um, and I'm just gonna go this route because it's been super fresh, and we had a breakfast with the governor here yesterday, so it's fresh on my mind. But I wish more people understood small businesses in general's role in our economy, and from a local to a national level, and how much we all need each other, as opposed to I'll just give an example. Coming to small businesses to ask for donations and saying you're a 501(c)(3) nonprofit and you have this tax deduction form that we can get is not beneficial to us. We don't get the write-off is not beneficial. Um, we support our area, the parishes, the state, even as far as nationally, we support a ton of events, especially around here. It's one of our goals is to help change the skyline of Thibodeau, help change the thought process that it has to be a tugboat or something offshore to survive over here. We want to be something different that adds to the area, that brings jobs to the area, that brings revenue to the area, that brings tax dollars to the area, that can help because we're raising our kids here. We want good roads, we want good schools, we want all that stuff. Donating to your event doesn't help that cause. It doesn't. And you're here too. You benefit from all these things too. So I wish more people would understand that we working together benefits us all a lot more than working together in the sense of us giving you stuff to go make money. So the check that you donate to your cause is bigger. It's if you come with, hey, we want to spend $500 on stuff, and this is what we're doing with it. Do you have any kind of discount programs? Maybe we can get it, or if we buy this, will you throw in the customization or something? Instead of can you donate, can you donate, can you donate? We need this product for this event. But if I say I can't donate, you're going to go to Academy and buy a product full price because you need it for this raffle that you're doing, because you're upset that I won't give it to you for free. But instead, you know, maybe we give the customization free and add the value to you.
Yeah.
And now you raised $1,500, but you spent 500. So now you have $1,000 to donate to your event. And we also are able to pay our employees, are able to pay our taxes, are able to donate to the local charities and help the way that we do. So I wish more people understood what that relationship really should look like. And
Vegan is a great example. I mean, there's many other ways in which that actually plays out because you get that also with suppliers and people that provide services to you
yeah,
all the time, right? Um, it's the whole idea that there's a lot more impact for doing business locally with or with small business, right? Than you can actually see because it impacts where you are and the
yep,
communities that we serve. And so I wholeheartedly agree with you. But that certainly leads me to marketing. I mean, what you're talking about has to do a lot with the public relations part of business, right? We all need to be present as part of our, let's call it awareness strategy, our marketing strategy to get our products to be out there, known in the marketplace. And so I'm always curious about what people like you are doing to, you know, get more of that awareness out there on your specific markets, right? Like you have your target people that you go after, right? Um, do you assign a percentage of your sales to the amount of money that we are going to assign to these? Or is it more like we have dedicated specific buckets that we're going to fill throughout the year?
um, it's for me, it's more of dedicated buckets, but we don't necessarily just throw money out. So I try to use products or services more than I use cash because we all get more value out of that. Um, And another good example is all of the sports teams in this area that come to us and, hey, will you sponsor our baseball field or our football stadium or whatever? And it's $500 or it's $1,000, and then re-upping every year is 250 or 500, whatever the numbers are. Um, and I say, well, you know what? Instead of doing that, how about instead of me giving you 500 cash, how about I make the banners for you and I save you money from whatever you're paying now. Um, or we donate a product worth that value that you can go and raffle and get $2,000 on, instead of just doing the cash thing. For me, it's really hard for us to just send cash out. We look at it more of I don't expect a dollar for dollar return, but what is the best spin that we can do? And a lot of times, the best spin for us and the best spin for whoever is coming to us happens to be like a product or a service trade. And I try to look at it that way more. We want to be involved with everything that we can be involved in. So, we want to have not necessarily even have our logo out there front and center, because even if the community doesn't see that I made all of these banners or I donated this ice chest, the people that are involved with those organizations know where they're getting it from. They know, in those conversations, that word of mouth travels really fast too.
I love that approach because ultimately, and perhaps it's an assumption of mine, you're not, you don't have your target market within that community.
It's a small bucket. So if we only tried to survive off of this, then we would have been out a long time ago.
Right, right. So I mean, it doesn't really give you a lot of traction from promoting within the community, but it does have a greater impact when you become creative, and I love that. I think it's a great way to make more, to leverage the opportunities that come along your way. That is great. And so let me move on to perhaps a little bit more of uh, the journey that you've gone through. And you did mention that some of your products, you import, and so this is a very let's call it uncertain time
Yeah.
in our in our country. Um, with businesses that depend on bringing materials or parts or whole products from overseas, finding a lot of challenges. And so, can you tell us a little bit about what those challenges are like right today?
Um, I think we're in a multiple weird situation. So you have a really rough economy where people are feeling the squeeze and their dollar doesn't go as long. So again, we're the first thing to go. something is not, we're a want, we're not a need for a lot of the consumers. So there's not a lot of extra money to be spent on products like this, as opposed to like a food that you have to eat, and you know what, it sucks that eggs are going up, but people are going to eat eggs. We're not an egg. So it's challenging because you can only raise your prices so much. People will only pay so much for the items. And, a few years ago, we started down the path of, during President Trump's last term, we started down the path of moving manufacturing to the United States. When the first set of tariffs and things were going on with China. And we have spent a lot of money working on that. But the time frame from when towards the end of his term through President Biden's term, the design, the engineering, the tooling, making the tooling, the time it takes to do all that stuff, the time it takes to get the sample parts made and then tweaked and then fine-tuned and then fix the tooling and then all the way down to the finished final product. That
That's
time,
right.
the cost of making that product in the United States was way different. So um, now we're in a situation where we would love to be able to mold the coolers here. We're doing all the customization, all the printing, cutting, lasering, all that stuff here. We would love to be able to make it here, but the cost to do that, just from the raw material standpoint, has been, it's skyrocketed. And quite honestly, this was my first time really being impacted by a presidential election. In previous terms, I was in school or living with my parents or working where it didn't really affect me. Now I own a business that's importing products, so it was really firsthand affected. And it's pretty nerve-wracking to think that we could have just invested, $3 million into a facility here to build the warehouse, to import or make the machines, bring the machines in, bring the tooling in, recruit people that know what they're doing with these machines, bring them to Thibodeau, hire them, and then the costs do what they did. I don't know that we would have survived that, to be honest with you. Um, it's still now we're still in that weird spot of almost just trying to let the dust settle. We have a set of molds that are in Montana right now, too expensive for us to operate. So we have a manufacturing partner in China. We have a manufacturing partner in Cambodia. Um, they're about to, I think they might have just opened up in Taiwan, and they're building a facility in Mexico. So I don't know what's going to end up happening. I know most of our stuff is moving to Cambodia. I don't know where that second generation of molds is going to travel to. I don't know what that, the next year or two looks like, but I have a feeling it's going to either be in Cambodia or Mexico.
What most people don't understand in talking about manufacturing and how nimble you probably need to be, right?
Yep.
Is that you can't, it's not like you can just, snap your fingers and have the tooling at the level that you need it
That would be
with the
nice.
result that you wanted
Yeah.
within 6 months, a year, 2 years. It
Yeah.
takes time. I was in the automotive industry, any new product that was going to be coming to the market started
Hmm.
8 years, 9 years ahead.
Yeah.
That's when you start really talking about, and that's when they come into the manufacturing part.
Yeah.
When you're talking about design to market, it's even longer. So, and it is because 3 years before production starts is when tooling start being made. It
Hmm.
takes 3 years to make tooling that actually delivers the kind of products that we need. And so I get it, I understand that, but most people don't, right?
It's a conversation that I've had probably 100 times over the last year. Um, But another thing that kind of irks me that people don't understand or look into is there's a lot of companies, not all, but there's a lot of companies that claim to be made in the USA that really aren't made in the USA. They may be assembled in the USA by putting a cutting board inside the cooler, and they slap a assembled in the USA sticker, and that gives the perception to people who don't know better that wow, they made this in Texas. Or like some other cooler companies there, the plastic is molded in the United States, but literally every aspect of it, all the parts, all the boxes, the packaging, the feet, the bottle openers, the accessories, everything's bought in bulk from China. So what is the purpose? I don't understand the reasoning behind spending $1 million to move all of your production over to get these tools over here to get, and pay significantly different landed cost amounts just to say the plastic is molded here, but it's with all Chinese everything still.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really, it's not rational in my head. Um, and I never been into trying to trick people. Our manufacturer actually told me in 2017 with our first back and forth, he said, "Bro, you're probably way too honest to be in business." I'm like, "Well, if I have to lie or try to sway people one way or the other to get them to buy the product, then I don't want to do it because
Right.
it's at the end of the day, I still have to sleep at night." A lot of these people, especially in the beginning, are my friends and family that are buying from us. I'm not gonna lie to them to make a couple $100. It's so that's a really tough thing for me to see happening all the time. And you go to trade shows and you have some people that'll beat you up on, oh man, well, so and so is made in the United States. And it's like, no, they're not. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've
And then
seen
you
it
have to go into that whole
in
explanation.
USA, and it's not. Then I have to go down this whole rabbit hole and show them. And when you finally see that light bulb turn on, like, holy crap, they're designed in this area. They're not manufactured in. There's a big difference, but you just see in Tennessee or in Texas, and you're like, wow, they made them there in Texas or Tennessee or whatever state it may be.
Right, right. I'm sorry you're having to go through that. And ultimately, it is, part of the principles that you have chosen to operate by. You're going to be, honest and truthful about what it is that you're presenting to the marketplace. Not everybody has the same standards to follow, but it normally comes at a cost, right? For them. Either way, it just depends on which one do you want to pay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let me ask you a little bit differently because I know that we were talking about earlier in the pre-interview they at this point you don't have a lot of products on hand, right? um and so what's the plan there? What do you expect to happen in the next few months?
Oh man, it's tough. It's weird. It's all those things. So we are literally like call myself the king winger. We are just winging it, trying to survive, making things work. We had a routine and a schedule with things coming from China. We knew how long it takes. We knew how long the shipping took. We knew the cost. We knew, the fluctuations in the ocean freight and all this kind of stuff. Trying to move some products over to Cambodia goes from, 22 days on a boat to 52 days on a boat, and it creates this gap in what you have. Um, and, also a good problem, we're selling out of inventory. We're selling out quick, which is great, but it still creates a gap in stuff that you have to sell. So to
Right.
be able to go, it's not going to Walmart real quick and restock. It's you're forecasting, you're planning, you're putting a deposit, you're spending a month or 2 months or 3 months manufacturing the products. It's shipping for a month or two now. So you have like a 5 month, 6 month window of planning to delivering. So if you have a big sale, something that comes across that really wasn't typical or not forecasted, or if you have a great holiday season like we happen to have, okay, well now we've sold out faster and we have a gap in products now. So it's almost like you don't want to send people to an empty website because you only get so many opportunities to win that customer. So I don't want to say we've shut down, but we're just kind of maintaining right now. We have a good bit of drinkware in stock because we just had a shipment of that come in towards the end of last year. But as far as hard coolers, which is our main product, it's really slow right now as we have almost nothing to sell. And a lot of people aren't coming in with the foresight of, hey, I have my event in 2 months. I have something this weekend that I need something for.
Right. Right. Wow. So quite a bit of challenges, and it really is a game of using past information, past performance to project what you might get, but it doesn't really account for any surprise um instances, where
It's a good surprise. I mean, it's not a negative, but
no, of course not. But I mean,
it's been a
what it
negative
does, it
for us.
creates a gap for you every single time.
Yeah, inventory has been a struggle for us since 2017 when we started, and it's still a struggle, but it's just on a different scale. So, it's still our biggest problem as a business is we can't fund the inventory that the demand is there for. And we did that when we were at, a couple thousand in sales. Now we're doing that at a couple million in sales. It's the same problem, but just trying to get more inventory. We didn't have space, so we moved into the storage unit. Then we got more inventory and then started filling that up, making money, ordering more. Then we needed more inventory, but now we don't have space. So now we're in the warehouse that we're at now, and we just need to figure out how to fund the inventory needs we have.
All right. And so where do you see it in the next 3 to 5 years? I mean, I know this year it's challenging to start with, right? Things are going to settle. They normally do. They eventually, you find the path. And assuming that that's the case and things are working the way that close to what they're supposed to be working, what do you see happening for your business in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think it's going to be great. I really do. A lot of our customers are they're back with higher budgets that they've had in the past. We're spreading to a lot of new customers. We're going on year two as preferred vendor for one of our biggest customers, which is national, is actually globally, but we're working across the nation with them. And I was at their headquarters a couple days ago, and basically the story is, man, you need to figure this inventory out because essentially they're being greedy with our products. They're not telling all the other people in their business about it because we're not funding what they are trying to buy. So those, 90 to 100 regional guys, I'm only dealing with 20 or so because I can't fund what those 20 need for their use. But we're back on the where we left off with that crowdfund. I'm not going down the crowdfund route this time, but we have some investors that are interested and capable of fixing the inventory problems, which is essentially what we have. It's not a, hey, I have an idea. I think this brand might be cool. I think the business can work. We have a business. We're making money. We have, audited financials. We have all the stuff that we need, except for more stuff to sell. And we have a lot of opportunity ahead of us, and I'm excited about some of the things that we have going. It's a little bit nerve-wracking. It's I had no idea how stressful all this stuff would be, especially at this point in my life with four children, 11 to 2, super busy, school, sports, still trying to be a dad to them, and be as involved as I can with all the stuff, still being a husband to my wife, Emily, and trying to run the business and resetting with employees. And there's a lot going on, but it's at the end of the day, I think it's very positive.
It truly is. I mean, it's worthwhile once you find the harmony in it, right? Um, I feel for you, and I get what the challenge is. It's not a poor you kind of thing. It's more like, oh my God, the opportunity is right here. How do we make sure that we can take advantage of it? In that sense. So, in a way, it's a blessing that you have that opportunity, and so that speaks to your leadership. And so we have certainly covered a lot of ground today in this conversation. For those who are watching, I highly encourage you to save these and come back and watch a few times. There's a lot of great nuggets here that may actually give you some pointers on what needs to happen. But as we begin to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions, Bryan. Quick top of head answers for each, okay? So, what is the key to success for you?
The key to success for me, oh my gosh, is just keep going. I mean, I think the only difference between me and a lot of other people is that I'm not quitting. So
There you
just
go.
just keep going.
What is your one piece of advice to other business owners?
Get your ducks in a row early because it is really hard to get them in a row afterwards. One example is with taxes. Know what you're doing with taxes. Um, be involved in your local communities with your votes. Pay attention to what's on the ballots, not just for every 4 years during the presidential elections.
What is one book that you're reading now or you have read that you will recommend other people?
Actually, I've been listening to, I find myself with a lot of time to read, but I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I'm re-listening to a book, The Five Rules by Mr. Steve Black. It's the kind of 5 rules to run your business and your life by. And I've never been into that side of the world, never been into, corporate, things, but it's been helpful to me to just have a different perspective.
Very cool. So, if you had to choose only one area of your business that you could immediately improve tomorrow, outside of the I don't have inventory problem, what will that be?
Um, I would say my understanding of compliance, tax
Uh,
compliance specifically,
okay.
because there's and I'm just going through that because we're inventory tax is a huge issue here. It got brought up by the governor yesterday at breakfast, and it's something that's on the ballot coming up in a few weeks to vote on. Inventory tax is not ideal, it's very expensive for us, and it really doesn't make sense. But outside of that, it's collecting taxes, sales tax. I've asked probably 10 or 15 different accounting people, and got different answers, and none of them are technically wrong until the government audits you. And then they're like, well, technically, and then just having a good understanding of that it's never been my strong suit. So that's what I wish I can change.
All right. Before we get into the final question of the day, how can other people learn more about you or your company? How can they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, most of our communications are on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. They can find me personally, Bryan McGehee, or our company page, GATR Coolers, and it's spelled GATR Coolers. If they're in Louisiana and want to come visit the shop and see what we have going on, we're in Thibodaux, 1635 St. Patrick Street, right behind Academy Sports. Or give us a shout, 985-387-1400.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And so, what do you find is most inspiring for you today?
Most inspiring for me today, from the conversation or just in general?
In general.
In general, after the deal we had yesterday, it's very inspiring to me that we have what seems to be leadership, although not perfect in everyone's eyes, leadership that is recognizing the importance of supporting and actually acting on supporting small businesses. The tax reform that we have going on in Louisiana with the push to eliminate a lot of taxes is huge. We're this close to moving out of state because it can instantly save us a lot of money. And a lot of businesses don't come here because of the tax burden we put on them. It's very inspiring to listen to leaders like we have now and their goals. And, it's something that we can get behind and help all of us.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with you. So, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all these with us. Thank you to the audience for watching and sharing these. You never know who you might inspire by having them listen to this interview. And so, until next time, make it a great day.